Have you ever wanted to be wealthy enough to have a weekend car? You know, that vehicle that is just a ton of fun to drive. It may be kitschy or custom or vintage or really fast, but above all, it is just really fun. What if you could drive that weekend car all week? Well, my daily driver for the last few weeks, which has all the fun and frivolity of that weekend car, has been Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip 4. A big thanks to the fine folks over at AT&T for sending this along for review. Come with me, let's get our kicks on Route Flippity Flip. Okay, that was corny, even for you. I didn't even ask you. Roll the open. If fun was a phone, the Galaxy Z Flip 4 can be picked up in graphite, pink gold, a beautiful Bora purple, and blue. You can also cop the bespoke edition for just $40 more on Samsung's site. That gets you up to 75 choices of color combination to create a device that truly reflects your taste. If I was buying one today, this would be my custom Z Flip 4 unit. Go ahead, bask in the ambiance. But there's so much more about this phone that puts the fun in functional. And that's where we come to the cameras. Unlike the Flip's big sister in the Z lineup, the Z Fold 4, this phone only has a 2-camera system. But Samsung did something smart. They listened. Last year's Z series garnered some complaints from consumers that the cameras were not up to the flagship prices they paid for the Z lineup. This year, Samsung upped the ante and supplied the Z Flip 4 with a 65% brighter pixel sensor for the main camera. Yes, they increased the size of the pixels from the Z Flip 3's 1.4 microns to 1.8 microns, even though you get the same megapixel count as last year. What does that mean in English? Larger pixels can capture more light so that in challenging conditions, low light, for example, you're going to get better photos. The other factor at play here is a new processor this year in the 4nm process Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and a new neural processing unit which handles photographic processing, among other things. As I've alluded to in other reviews, the software, how your phone processes images after the image has been captured by the sensor, is just as important as the sensor or the camera hardware itself. But you know me, I'm all about the show and tell. So I now have cover display mode on, or cover screen mode on, and I'm using video on the ultra wide camera with it kind of facing up at an angle. I'm recording with the second camera so you can see kind of what I'm doing here. Just so versatile. This really allows you to do a lot of things, and it allows you to do it with an actual preview screen, a preview monitor, so you can see what you're doing if you're doing the one-man band thing. There it is. Back to you in the studio. But those were all videos and images captured in solid sunny conditions where most cameras hold up pretty well these days. But what about at night? So this is the Z Flip 4 versus the S22 Ultra. Now, obviously, I'd expect the S22 Ultra to have a better outcome in terms of the video quality test in this case. But the Flip 4 also has upgraded camera internals from the Flip 3. So it may not be that big a difference. This is the main camera lens. And now you're looking at the ultra wide on both the S22 Ultra and the Z Flip 4. How do they stack up in terms of the S22 Ultra versus the Z Flip 4 and its upgraded processor and neural processing unit? Mixed results here. The main from the S22 Ultra had better contrast, black, and skin tone rendering with less noise, aka graininess, while the ultra wide from the Z Flip 4 had the better contrast, black, and skin tone rendering with less noise. The low light images bolster what impressions the video comparison gave us. The main on the S22 Ultra fared better than the Z Flip 4, and the ultra wide on the Z Flip 4 produced a more solid capture. But the key takeaway is that the main camera on the S22 Ultra wasn't night and day, pardon the pun, better than the Z Flip 4. You're getting a quality experience here that is functional as much as it is fun. Nowhere is that more apparent than the different ways you can utilize the cameras, as I showed you with my romp at the park. The rest of the user experience is on par with the camera experience as well, but let me touch on a couple things you should know first. One, the phone is water resistant with IPX8, so 30 minutes of 1.5 meter resistance is what you're gonna get. No dust ingress resistance though, and that's a big concern for me living in one of the beach meccas of the world, Southern California. And the Flip, of course, has a folding screen, and though the hinge allows the phone to lay flat, unlike last year, you're still gonna feel this crease as you move across the display. For me, it wasn't a hindrance visually, but there's no escaping the tactile sensational experience as you swipe and gesture. The Flip 4 has the same screen as last year, but with thinner bezels, and this 6.7-inch 120 Hz AMOLED panel doesn't disappoint when it comes to watching through my video playlist. And audio through the stereo speakers sounds great when watching Our Planet, Thor, or The Witcher. Listening to my high-res music collection and sitting with the phone somewhat folded so that I get the full effect of the stereo speakers instead of sitting in its flex mode, the stereo sound reproduction was nice. Nothing room-filling, but for sitting at your desk and listening, you're in good shape here. And speaking of the flex mode, as we already explored the many forms this phone can take when shooting pics, it's also as flexible during everyday use when you aren't taking selfies. No need to worry about the hinge as you use the phone though. Samsung says it has been certified for over 200,000 folds, and I'd say that the rigidity and feel give me enough confidence to trust that estimation. So we're gonna fold the phone for video calls, and instead of having to tap the screen to access advanced in-call functions, we're gonna tap that flex panel and boom, I'm a dinosaur. Flex mode also kicked in while listening to music via VLC media player, and it's a joy to use. Having the player controls on the bottom half of the screen while I listen is great, but I actually prefer turning the bottom half of the phone into a touchpad and interacting with the top half in that fashion. Don't worry about killing that battery too fast though. I was getting all day use out of the larger 3700 milliamp hour battery, and if I did tax the battery on any day, it charges up plenty fast with my 65 watt travel charger, getting to roughly 50% in 30 minutes. And we can't talk about the user experience without talking about the cover screen when you aren't taking photos. I like that they got granular with this cover screen. It's only a little under 2 inches, but it packs a punch with regard to usability. It's really a big part of what makes this device smart and functional. You can swipe right to access and use quick response for text messages and return calls. Swipe down for quick panel settings, swipe left to access widgets, similar to how you do on the Galaxy watches, but it's the clock and background customizations for me. You can change the graphical clock styles as you see here, but you can also add custom backgrounds, photos, GIFs, and videos. Personally, I went with the AR emoji because I like how interactive it is when I wake up the screen. For example, if I have notifications, Ninja emoji Tshaka will perform a little movement, some type of movement, then point at the orange notification icon. If music is playing, I get a little dance or bob of the head. Basically, you get unique animations based on your phone's status. Functional. In a world dominated by slab phones, which all look very similar, the Flip 4 is definitely a standout and at a price that's more attainable than its sibling, the Fold 4. I think the Flip is a great phone for just about anybody. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. The phone is available with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128, 256, and 512 gigabyte storage options, but at $1,000, I'd like to see the base models begin at 256. In 2022, there's no reason not to. My advice is to always buy as much storage as you can afford if the storage isn't removable, as is the case with the Z Flip 4. So that's my experience with the Z Flip 4. That's everything. Functional, fun and function, the whole pun, it's all there. I'm Tshaka Armstrong for Android Central. If you have any questions about the Z Flip 4 that I didn't answer, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I'll get to them. Love chatting with you all. You're a great group. I will catch you on the next video.